Hey, Jules Blessed Vegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. So we are in the middle of our October challenge of you losing inches. I mean, you may very well be losing weight, praise God, but you most likely, in accompanying the weight loss, are losing inches. But we are deliberately measuring our bodies and deliberately making sure that indeed we have either lost or gained inches, because some people in this community have already lost their weight. They just want to up their strength, they want to increase their muscle, and they want that to be measurable, which is awesome. So the challenge for me, Jules Blessed Vegan, is that I actually measured myself on October 4th. And so we will continue through November 4th. And at first I was going to share my inches every week. And then I was like, no, that will just frustrate me and make me crazy. So I decided I will just measure again on November 4th, which will be fabulous. And if you're just joining us, you're right on time. Go ahead, measure whatever you want to measure. I actually measured several features on my body, but maybe there's just one that you're going to try and, again, increase or decrease. And yay, you. It's great to have a challenge. At the same time, I decided that I wanted to honor Oprah Winfrey by doing 7 days of quotes. And she's got hundreds of quotes, but I'm just choosing a few that appeal to me. And this next one, which of course I use as the icon for the video, what was interesting, these are by Brainy quotes. And that's one of my, favorite ones. It's just a go-to for quotes. What's interesting is you can pick the quote and then they give you several backgrounds to superimpose, which I had no idea. I chose this one, which appears to be either wheat or corn or something in a mountain range. But what I know is that those plants had to struggle to break through that soil, to make it happen. Because there's nothing easy about that environment, and it's definitely a survival of the fittest thing. So I really appreciated that. Where there is no struggle, there is no strength. That's true on so many levels. And sometimes I'm just exhausted with the struggle. You know what I mean? I'm tired in my soul sometimes, and I just don't feel like struggling. I feel like just sitting there like a wet noodle and just letting life happen. It's not who I am, though. So inevitably, I am called to the struggle. I am called to the fight. And I know that to be true. Like, I've always had a degree of struggle in my life, no doubt. But even when given the chance to not struggle, I did not choose the easy way, whether it was on my own behalf or the behalf of someone I care about. So I am definitely a person who chooses to push back, fight back, play harder, struggle. And I would say that's true anyway, and it's no offense to the people on my 600-pound life, but obviously for them, they have far more times than myself caved, right? Given up on the struggle and just given in. And I'm sorry that it always comes back to food, but that is part of what my channel is about, right? It's definitely about food and what has been a lifetime struggle. Though I have mentioned at times that I chose not to struggle anymore, that I just wore fat pants, meaning, the ones with an elastic waist. I put on my horsey blinders, but for the wrong reason, meaning I chose not to even consider my life and just went for broke. And that got me to 330 pounds when I stopped weighing. I'm sure I exceeded that. So that did not serve me at all. And I was listening to a really interesting talk, and what it was saying was that when you find yourself mindlessly binging, which I'm all too familiar with, there's really some part of you, and it may be considered your inner child or whatever, there's a part of you that desperately wants to talk or be acknowledged in that moment. They're crying out. Sadly, the response is to calm them or anesthetize them with food, which is just certainly a pattern for many, and I think societal. If a baby's crying, put a pacifier in the mouth, put a bottle in their mouth. If a little kid is fretting, give them a snack. Their blood sugar must be low, like the whole game, right? All right, sorry. The behind the scenes is dealing with sneezing, of course, and dogs. But okay. Anyway, though, is to always pacify or appease, right? To always comfort with something. And, certainly a pacifier doesn't have any calories, but it pacifies. It's still a way of almost shutting us down, right? By putting something in that mouth. It's not just comforting the child or the baby, but it's shutting them up, right? Because if they're sucking, they're not complaining, crying, whatever. And I think that's a tendency that continues for a lifetime unless we find a way. And so what this was saying was that it's really an aha or even a God wink, and a lot of people use that phrase, when you take a moment to recognize that struggle, to recognize that temptation, and to listen, to actually listen. What is it that you're lacking at that moment? I know for me, it's usually feeling just completely overwhelmed and unsupported. And that's nobody's fault because I often don't even ask for help, right? But yeah, it's wanting to comfort an emptiness or a loneliness in me. Certainly an insecurity that I'm not enough or capable. And I'm sorry for that, but I do see why it would be a God moment to say, here we are again, Juliana. Here it is approaching you again. What are you going to do this time? What are you going to do differently this time? And even tonight, I was feeling very compulsive. I'm, of course, anxious. I get feedback tomorrow on my observation. And again, I've prepped myself by saying, the individual has no choice but to give me areas of improvement. It's like part of the process. Their perception, depending on their day, right? Did they have a headache? Were they hungry? Were they over it and tired and wanting to get on? And I was holding them back because they were responsible for my observation. I mean, there's so many things that I have no control over. But in that moment, I was feeling very compulsive, and no surprise, because I mentioned I faltered, and when I do, inevitably my microbiome is screaming for days to come. But anyway, I looked at the clock and realized it was a few minutes to 7, and even though I had only been intermittent fasting for less than 3 hours of the day, I was like, wait a minute, the kitchen's closed, but the tea bar is open. And I actually had the grace in that moment to get my 24-ounce mug and a fantastic tea. It's peppermint, so appropriate for Christmas, right? And just enjoy tea. Like, remind myself how refreshing this is and comforting, because it does smell like a holiday. It is just slightly warm on a almost cooler night. Let's be fair, it's only 82 instead of 97. I'll take it. But anyway, yeah, I remembered that I could care for myself, and that was a tremendous blessing. And I'm still having to do all the things. Nothing else changed. It was that idea of yesterday, how someone can change their life just with an attitude change. Instead of me thinking of what I couldn't have, and unfortunately there's a lot of treats around here. It's certainly my husband's right to have them. I was able to remember what I could have, which was delicious, healthy, fantastic tea that would serve my body, calm me, and help me get through what I have to do. All right, so where there is no struggle, there's no strength. If you have nothing to do, you never have to physically get up to do it. Just physically moving in itself creates resistance and a struggle, right? May I always choose the struggle, only in that it leads to growth or allows me to have compassion and understanding for someone else who needs to grow, for which I can help. All right, my friends, like if you like, join us if you haven't, subscribe. Let me know in the comments below how I may support you, especially in prayer. Be thinking of me in the morning. I'm looking forward to wonderful feedback. And until we talk again, best of all, know that you are blessed.